Hey, good morning. Um, I did a 22-minute video that I had to delete because YouTube didn't upload it. And that happens. That's happened a couple of times because there's information that I share that it doesn't want others to know. That's obvious. It doesn't meet their program requirements, uh, and that was what the video had to do with. Okay, and how do you program something? Data-driven memory. You're an operating system. Your cells are biochip. Okay, it's biotechnology. The technology that represents this avatar, it's a hell of a unit. Allowed me to have an unbelievable time down here. I had a lot of fun. I was not shortchanged. I collected an enormous amount of data, okay, and allowed me to be able to experience the most beautiful things you can possibly imagine, okay? It's all written on the record. I punched my timesheet out in 2016. The rest is gravy, okay, as we say. So I wanted to talk about programming, programs, operating systems, data-driven, time-vectored stuff, okay? So what I try and do is simplify things because, you can take an entire year, 2 semesters at a university or a schoolroom, or hell, sit in a circle of light around a big-ass oak tree, or go out to the redwoods where it's magical, okay? Preferably the teaching environments that I use anyway, which is nothing more than imparting information, which is imparting knowledge based on the experiences of the experiencer. I'm an experiencer. I experience the energy, which means you are experiencing the information, which means you're experiencing the data. You're a data processing unit. Okay? Not a PBX machine, by the way. Spirit came before the machine did. I can assure you of that. So I thought, when I was thinking back on the last video that I did, I thought, let's shorten it up to see if we can sort of bring the amount of bits and bytes of information that sort of represent everything else that represents all the other dots that you're aware of that you hold in memory. So if I can connect more dots that are held in memory of what's held in my memory, and I share with you the underlying causality of how a program works, then allows others who are learning from you how that works, if they don't already know that, they can connect the dots in the shortest period of time possible, because that's energy efficiency. Which means if I'm already aware of all the data that you're using to experience the program that you're experiencing, which is in a simulator, okay, then I want to be able to connect as many dots as I can in the shortest period possible. So that allows everybody to be essentially aware of how the programming works, so they can say, I don't want to run that program no more. I'm in charge. That's what love is. Okay? Okay? That frees your mind from being held captive in a box. So you got to think outside the box by raising the frequency of the energy that you're using to experience who you are, and be free to simulate and experience that which you create and manifest on your own. So you become the author of your own stories. You're the author of your own learning journey. And when you're value tagging everything that you're experiencing, you're choosing what it is you're going to delete, throw away, put in the trash can, because you realize it doesn't have any value. Because you've reached a point in your learning, which is your coursework, okay? Which means it's sort of silly to experience the same thing twice if you already experienced it once, and that's value tagged, time vectored, as not having the greatest value, okay? Money doesn't have the greatest value to me, okay? Love does. Love has the greatest value. That's how I time vector everything. Between past, present, future. It's got to meet a benchmark. Teachers call it a rubric. Okay? So, for example, this is how I'll shorten this up from the last one. You're a student. You come into my classroom. Okay? I have a set of objectives. This is what you're supposed to learn. That's called a syllabus. Everybody gets a syllabus. This is what I'm being required to learn, which basically means all the data that I'm going to present as a teacher, including other resources that I'm going to put in that syllabus. It says, these are the other resources that you got to use your mind to put your state of consciousness into that energy, which is based on that data. That data that is now held in your memory, you're going to be tested on it. I want to make sure that that data is in your memory so that you can operate off that data. Okay? So we're going to reverse this a little bit by saying, before we start that, where does it begin? Corporation. I'm the CEO, and I'm also the chairman of the board of directors of, let's say, for example, not the RAND Corporation, pick another one, Sandia Labs. What does Sandia Labs do? All kinds of stuff. So I'm saying, listen, I need a workforce over the next 5 years because we're doing research and development programs and advancing our technology so that we can conquer more of the universe, okay? And so that means that the requirement that I have to go to work for me, they need to have a benchmark of being able to have X amount of data that they're holding in memory. So we're going to have teaching requirements, which means beings who are going to be in classrooms to impart what's written into their memory so that when they come to work for us, we don't have to spend any money training them. Okay? Get these people to pay for their own training, okay, through public schools. So therefore, when they get done, say at high school, they're already ready to come to work for us. So I go have a conversation with the President of the United States and say, listen, I'm the CEO of Sandia Labs. I need a workforce of 100,000 people over the next 15 years because we're projecting out that we're going to need a workforce that has XIQ, a certain amount of creativity. In other words, these are the parameters. These are the requirements, otherwise known as a specification. Okay? Just like you have a specification in an aircraft you're going to build. These are the specs. This is how it's to be built. This is what it's built with. I need a workforce that's going to put on 150 airplanes that can go to war against AYZ. Hey, no problem. Who's going to pay for it? They're going to pay for it. You're going to get them to pay for the war that they're going to go fight and get killed in? Yeah. I don't think they're going to go along with that. Oh, yeah, we know how to do that. All we got to do is put all this stuff in memory, and they'll do exactly what we tell them to do because they're programmed to do it. I get it. That's pretty smart. How'd you figure out how to do that? Listen, these people don't understand how their own memory works. They don't? No. They'll do whatever you tell them to do. All you got to do is beat them over the head, and then once you do that, you can split their light. Now they got an identity disorder. Hey, that's pretty genius. Yeah, now they're going to do what we tell them to do because they're living in a state of fear. They lost their original identity, which is what love is. Now they're living in fear of what they are. Once were. How do we get them to jump back over that hoop? Forget about that. We're going to keep all these beings in a state of fear. We will constantly have them going to wars. We will create a big pharma system, an American medical system. Everything that we create through corporations on this planet is all going to be meant to make sure that they never experience what love is and realize the power of creativity that they have to run their own simulation, run their own movie. But we can't allow them to do that because otherwise they're not going to want to go to work for us. Now you're thinking, yeah, that's called the devil's advocate. So what happens is you come into my classroom and I program you in order for you to be for them what they want you to be when we're done with you. That's programming. That's how they do that. So when you're aware as a student, listen, I don't want to be in your classroom. I don't want to learn this shit. I'd rather be out surfing, being with a girl on the planet. She, one, is a lot more fun, and she's giving me free energy. Because that's what I am. I'm giving you free energy. I'm running the same stuff she is. Because my spirit's anchored to her spirit. That's First Law Nations. We're the law down here. Okay? Because we're in alignment with her. Because she's the teacher in this classroom. Anything that grows on this planet, when it's giving you stuff, which is free food, you're learning. Now you're learning from the teacher in the classroom. And she ultimately, because it is her classroom, is going to give the pass or fail grade on everybody. Which means when you learn to be an energy service provider, just like she is, giving you free energy, you learned how light works. They don't want you to learn how light works. They don't want you to learn how to free yourself from captivity. Because the captivity that they have you in is consciousness. That's a lower state of consciousness. You're in vibrational perception alignment with a predator. Well, how do you escape the predator? Raise your consciousness. Bye. That's why love is the law on the planet. That way we all live in peace, harmony, and balance with each other. Right? Okay. So I'll leave you with that to think about for the day, because that's what I think about. I'm sharing with you what I'm experiencing right now. Okay? I love you all with all my heart. Okay? That's why we're here. Okay? They're called demo models. Okay? Experiencing how we're like yo-yos, going up and down between densities. Got to keep that frequency at a high speed. Going into your heart, writing love stories to yourself and realizing how much energy you actually have to be what you want to be. Now that paintbrush, that musical instrument, whatever you want to go do, is up to you. That's the power of your heart. That's why they had to shut everybody's heart down. And the easiest way to shut somebody's power plant down is to traumatize them. Now all of a sudden you don't remember what it was you once were. That's called an identity disorder. They forgot. They forgot what love is. So instead they're living in a lower frequency density consciousness, in a state of fear. That's what these are all about. The masks, where'd it go? One of these things. What the hell is this? Man, that's how bad it got. So we got to change the movie, raise the frequency, and go forward in time when there is no time. Simply meaning that you just raise the speed. I love you all. Have a great day. And what's the old saying? We used to say when I was a child growing up, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Or if you do, no, I can't say that. You do have to have a sense of humor down here, okay? But it's very difficult when you realize what's happened here. But George Carlin, George Carlin was the best communicator I ever met in my entire life, who communicated the truth in a way in which he could put a mirror up and say, this is who we are. This is what we're experiencing, okay? And everybody could laugh at that. But then when they leave, realizing he's telling you the truth of how it all works, nothing changes. Even though we all know that. How come? That's a question for everyone to answer. How come? Well, I know the answer. Because fear became more powerful than love. And we know that that's living in a lie. That's not true. Because that's why they fear us. They fear the power of love. Because they can't generate any. That's why they do what they do. That's why they advance all their technology systems and use humanity as a slave force in which to do it. So if you want to end the Star Wars, electrical wars, then we got to stop being slaves for them and instead choose a different way in which we use the energy that we are to create a different reality. Another movie to live in that is higher in consciousness density, in which we can all live in peace and restore ourselves and heal ourselves together with a girl on the planet. There is a lot of light in here right now. I experience it every day because it gets communicated to me every day. So I realize the acceleration of this movie is going bye-bye. Bye. So what's so painful to me is how many are coming with us? This is a classroom. And there is a pass or fail grade. And when I think about how all this came about, it is so painful, but I try and not stay in that because that's not who we are. We are what love is in living spirit. Okay? So we're going to raise the frequencies, raise the state of consciousness, and shift. As somebody said the other day that I listened to, his name is Gene Decode, we're playing out a movie. We're playing out the end of the movie. We're all actors and actresses in the movie. The light is in full control of this, and they are. That's true. And one of the ways that it's so easy, just using basic logic, is if you were paying attention, if you go to SETI, which is the U.S. Navy Stereo Sound Library, look at all the footage, and you see all the light ships that were coming in here, all the battle planets that were coming in here, Battlestar Athena, the Blue Kachina. They didn't come in here, okay, just to wave hi, okay? Everything is hunky-dory, as they say, okay? They came in here on a mission, okay? So when you realize and you know why they're here, okay, then I know it's because we're getting rid and we're purging the planet, okay? It's being cleansed, returning to purity, spiritual purity, getting rid of the demonic bullshit, okay? That's the good news. That's why I've always said we're living through the most exciting time in the galactic history of Gaia's planet. And that's the absolute truth. I know that. Anyway, have a great day. Be good to yourself. To thine own self be true. Wa and aloha.